beautiful, welcome back to my world. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. I just want to let you know I really appreciate you. For my latest project, I want to show you how I took this men's shirt and transformed it into this really cute off-the-shoulder shirt with a matching choker to go with it using the shirred method. So if you're interested to see how I did that, stay tuned and let's get started. For this first step, you want to measure out about 8 inches from the shoulder and make a point. From that point, draw a 45-degree angle through the sleeve and trace out your line. Cut out your traces halfway through the shirt and fold the shirt over and continue your cutting to assure a straight line. Measure out how long you want your shirt to be and draw a horizontal line straight through the shirt and cut along that line. You're going to need elastic string for this project. I got this string from Amazon. You're going to also hand wind your bobbin. You have to hand wind it because if you wind it with your machine, it's going to make the string too stretchy and you want the string to be as loose as possible. Now for the rest of the way, all you're going to do is straight stitch. To make your job a lot easier, I would highly recommend, instead of cutting your string once you reach the end of your piece of fabric, to just fold that piece over, do a stitch down, and then continue your straight stitch across the other way. I guarantee it'll save you a few minutes because it is quite time consuming to have to stop, cut the string, reposition your fabric, and continue the sewing. This way will be a lot easier for you and just save you a few minutes and also make your finished project look a little bit more fluid. Here's how it looks when you're finished. It should have a scrunch effect, and when you pull it, it should stretch. Now we want to take the piece of scrap that we cut off the bottom of our shirt from earlier, and we want to get rid of the buttons because we don't need it for this part. We want to get rid of any uneven areas because we will be using this part for our sleeves. So go ahead and cut off that bottom part to make it a perfect square. Much like the rest of our project, we're going to straight stitch the rest of this fabric, but I highly encourage you to backstitch before you start because your back stitch is pretty much your saving grace, because the shirt is meant to stretch, so we don't want our stitches or any of our string to come apart and everyone see our business. So make sure you back stitch when you start and when you finish. Measure out the width of your wrist and multiply that by 2, and measure out that width on this piece of shirred fabric, and give yourself about an extra inch or 2 of seam allowance, and cut out 2 pieces for your sleeves. For this next part, I will be using my overcasting presser foot that came with my machine to overcast all of the raw edges on my shirt. I like to use this particular presser foot instead of doing a regular zigzag because it does make it look a lot more professional. I'm also using a zigzag stitch and attaching an elastic to the perimeter of the top of the shirt. Now you want to measure out the length of the sleeve that you just made, and also measure out that same length on the sleeve that is on the shirt. Make a point and cut that piece off. Increase the stitch length of your straight stitch and sew a straight stitch along the perimeter of your cut sleeve. Make sure you leave a long piece of string when you start and when you finish, because you will be using this string to pull along the fabric to give it a scrunch effect. Be sure to only pull at the top string just to make sure that you don't break your string. And when you're done, it should look like this. Next, you want to take your sleeve and fold it inside out and tuck it on the outside of the shirt so that the right sides are kissing. Then you want to align both raw edges of the sleeve and make any adjustments if necessary, and you're going to attach these with a straight stitch along the perimeter. This is how it looks when you turn it inside out. That looks pretty complete, right? Now for the choker part. We're going to take another piece of the sleeve that we had left, and you're going to just overcast all of the raw edges on the top, sides, and bottom. Use your seam ripper to rip out 2 buttons from your fabric, and also pick out your favorite button pattern and stitch out 2 buttonholes on the back of the choker. To attach your button, you can do this by hand, but since my machine has a zigzag stitch, I'm using the manual dial on my machine, and I am manually stitching the buttons on both sides. So what I do is I manually stitch it on one side, and then I turn the fabric sideways and I continue to manually stitch it in the other 2 holes. And here's how it looks when we put it all together. This is definitely a very sexy and classy shirt. You can wear this to date night or just a night on the town. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel to get more content like this in the future. And until next time, peace.